So Rose Malay is a trans woman, YouTube creator, very controversial figure, known for saying interesting things about things like consent around sex, race, LGBT issues, drag, all kinds of things. You know, dealt with a lot of hate in her time, I guess, due to these things, which you want to say that that's her fault, that's fair enough. She was friends with a guy called Brad Taste in Music, who had just had another controversy where he had a picture taken with Ethan and Ela from H3H3, who of course are Jewish. And if you take a picture with Jewish people and your fans tend to be pro-Palestine, that's not going to fly. So he ended up backtracking, pretty much saying, hey, I disavow H3H3. And then, yeah, this happened. So he, I think, watched one of her videos and was like, they've known each other for a long time. And it was like, you know, he was promoting her a little bit. And then he got a lot of backlash from his fans, which he initially kind of stood up for her on, bearing in mind they've been friends for a while. And then, like, a day later was completely disavowing her, completely, like, cutting her out, completely backstabbing her, basically, based on, you know, that his fans complaining about all this weird stuff that she said from one time to another. And again, you know, there's going to be plenty of stuff that she said that I don't agree with and that I would disavow, you know, and that I don't think anyone should say. But at the same time, I think it's quite apparent that this person's quite mentally ill, seems quite desperate for some kind of fame or something like that. And there's just not much, I don't think there's much understanding. Like, people are so hateful of this person because they've said so many supposed heinous things, like made all kinds of crass jokes and stuff, that they're not really seeing her as a person anymore. And, you know, a lot of people are kind of sticking up for Brad, basically backstabbing her. But anyway, after he backstabbed her, shall we say, she put up a video, and this is called Brad Taste in Music is Lying to You, YouTube's Biggest Hypocrite. I have seen some of this. I have it on here as well, because I wanted to show a little bit of it. But I watched another streamer called Chud Logic that covered this. I think he's great. I think he's worth watching about any kind of drama stuff. That's mainly what he does. And he had a very, like, mature approach to it, because he actually spoke to Rose a bunch of times. Then we've got someone else who also spoke to her, who I think was falling guilty of, like, not seeing the wood for the trees because of how much they have a problem with this Rose Malay person. But we'll start off with her video about Brad. So at this point, he had stuck up for her and then was saying, wait, actually, I didn't know about all that stuff, and has now, like, disavowed her. Let's go.
I believe they were trans. I was so wrapped up in my own that I was just like, I don't care about your gender. And hey, you're I mean, my God, I didn't even realize that word had been on an island and isolated and you couldn't say it anymore. I said it in a
Obviously, bear in mind that he's not happy with his friend who has apparently said a lot of, like, crazy shit back in the day. So, you know.
Awful context, too.
I was transphobic at 17. I liked Trump at 17. Rose remembers. I can tell you for sure that I've said the N-word. But you guys already knew this. Come on. Oh my God, I know. It's terrible. You guys are acting like you've never said something you weren't supposed to say before. Come on, chill.
He released an album last year as like Big Baller B, and like he uses the N-word like in the album at one point.
I'm hot out the oven, but my niggas on the north. My niggas. Trigger, all the niggas down on the block.
Brad claimed on both his Twitter and his community tab that he was not aware of my rape comments. That is a blatant lie. Here is a tweet from May of 2018 where he very clearly is responding to one of my comments about rape. And here is a second tweet where he is very clearly responding to one of my comments about rape. Those tweets are both still up. So for him to say that he had no idea is just a blatant lie and an attempt to save face, because what he cares about most is not losing his audience. Brad has told me—
I will say one thing. I'm glad I explained the context, because it is quite a cold open in a way. But yeah, he's making out that he's finding out a whole bunch of other stuff that this Rose Malay that he's been friends with for however long has been saying, when it seems not to be true. So it suggests that actually he's being quite spineless and just kowtowing to his audience rather than you know, being genuinely shocked at some of the stuff that he's reading or whatever, because it seems like they knew each other, like, somewhat, so...
in the past that he doesn't care what I post and that he also looks for attention. He's just more careful about how he does it. He says that Twitter is horrible and that I was just voicing my opinion. Now that you're fully aware that Brad has been fully aware of all the things that I've said, his sudden 180 starts to make a lot less sense. He's saying the first time I actually stand up for what I believe, I essentially get voted off my committee. It's so bad. The internet is so bad and it's just so stupid.
God, and these were days before he, like, about-faced. It's crazy. Like, God, irrespective of what kind of shit I might have said, like, any friend of mine that, like, treated me this way, this would fucking enrage me.
He said he's been afraid of people judging him for so long that he's been tucking his tail with talking
He's afraid of his audience, basically.
about me, but he truly believes in me. And I said, I completely understand. Thank you so much. I promise I won't disappoint you. All positive things moving forward. And he responds with, even if you disappoint me in the future, you're more than that. And you should be allowed to make mistakes. I trust you. Some of you may not be
So he's gone back on that in the space of a few days, basically.
aware, but he's actually posted on his community tab promoting me twice. The first time he said that he deleted the post due to major backlash, but it still got the ball rolling. I apologized for all the negative comments that he got, and he said, nah, don't worry for me. I'm happy for you. I'm genuinely glad you did something non-controversial and being praised for it. Here he says, I want you to know that you don't bother me. I actually appreciate you checking in on me. I'm glad we're on good terms now. Even though I look at your tweets and go, bro, what the fuck is Rose on? I still see you as a friend and I'm not going to throw that away. And as you'll notice, he threw that away the very second that threatened his career. When it comes to controversial stuff that I say, there have been multiple times in the past where Brad has confined to me in DMs that he either agrees with what I'm saying or that he wishes he could be as open as I am, but worries about retaliation from his fan base. Here, Brad said,
Oh, he's starting to paint a picture yet of someone a little bit cowardly, a little bit worried about what people might think if he speaks his mind.
to me, this is exactly what I was saying, but because I'm cis, I can't say it. Brad has confined in private to me several times that he actually hates the audience that he's cultivated. Responding to some of his fans' criticisms on Twitter, he says, dude, these people are so fucking stupid. Oh my god. He also says to me, that was my fucking point, lol, get it, but whatever, I'll just accept it and not care too deeply. Brad Taste in Music hates his Discord community. He says, someone else was banned from my Discord for saying what I said, so whatever, lol. Also important to note that if you go on Brad Taste in Music's Discord, a lot of people have been considering renaming the Discord because they don't even like Brad anymore, and a lot of the comments on that Discord are basically criticizing Brad for all the stuff that he says. I avoid Discord for this reason. People don't know how to communicate normally, talking about his fans. Talking about his own Discord server, he says, I avoid that Discord like it has rabies. Every time something bad happens in the community, I know where it came from. Now, as a trans woman, some of the things that Brad has said in the past about trans people have upset me. As recent as 2020, Brad responded to a post of someone simply stating that trans people aren't obligated to tell you if they're trans by saying that he doesn't even want to have an honest conversation. He just wants to say, I am right, you lose, bye, and that the tweet has harbored such a hostile environment. What a lot of you also don't know is that as soon as Brad started blowing up on YouTube, a lot of his original friends started turning against him.
Back in 2017, all the people that he was originally friends with, like most of them have turned against him because of his behavior. And I was the first person to really call him out. I know a lot of people afterwards started to realize some things that I'd already realized.
Here's a conversation Brad had with a friend about his channel, calling him egotistical, money-driven, power crazy, and fully knows well what he's doing. In the DMs, he said he loves music and making content on it, but he also loves watching his empire grow. Now, a very weird phrase to use, especially considering the fact that he only had around 10,000 subscribers at the time, and he's referring to his YouTube sub count as watching his empire grow, and that he
10,000, that sounds like a lot to me, but I don't know.
doesn't want to worry about people who aren't on his side no matter what. Here's another commenter bothered by his phrasing of his audience as growing his empire. It's become about numbers. He hoped his friend would get it, but he didn't.
He wants to push his content without worrying about people who aren't on his side no matter what. So you can't have disagreements with people. So he's just kind of unnecessarily starting this kind of divide against the people who he was friends with because he has more subscribers than them now.
Also, in 2018, Brad has this interaction with a fan. The fan simply says, I just think with your audience, I think you should think about your actions more if I'm being honest.
Which, I mean, that sounds like a really reasonable comment,
That's
right?
exactly what I want to say to him.
But Bradley, for whatever reason, you wouldn't think that this
Yeah, that sounds like loads to me. I don't know. That's the kind of thing I aspire to, but I mean, it's not really. I'm not really doing this to try and get big or something. I'm doing this to document the fact that there's fucking shit tons of problems with trans communities and shit like that. Because when I used to talk to my friends about this kind of shit, when I used to have more trans friends and shit, they just not believe me about literally anything. So it began to feel that I literally had to film myself sitting and watching everything that I'm talking about, so that if someone tries to blow me off being well, I don't see any of that kind of thing personally, it's well, now you do, there you go.
this kind of comment would tick someone off, because it's a very reasonable comment for someone to make.
To which Brad responds by calling this person an ableist slur.
Bro, F you. Like you're actually mentally ill, not cause of depression, but our wordation.
To make things worse, this person was a trans woman, and he then proceeded to actively misgender this person, to which Brad admits to in a now deleted response video that he posted to his channel about the situation.
I was so wrapped up in my own that I was just like, I don't care about your gender.
He claims that she's using misleading screenshots to push her victim complex, and that he has never had any less respect for anyone than I do of her. She makes every community look bad that she's a member of. It hurts to watch. I would like to remind you that all she said is that Brad should be careful what he says because of his audience. Here's someone else referring to the situation of him misgendering the trans woman, same person he called an ableist slur, and also claiming that he invalidated her depression. Brad also has a severe ego problem.
The truth is, like, I have like seen from Brad following him on Twitter and stuff, I was getting the impression that he kind of does have an issue a bit with like being pretty arrogant and stuff. I got into Brad's Discord and people were sending me a ton of screenshots and everything about all this, stuff he's been doing, just being really rude and mistreating them and also acting really arrogant. So I thought, okay, so here we have Brad Takes the Music, a fellow music critic who I've always seen to be kind of arrogant or whatever, and now people are reaching out to me with like actual stories and screenshots. You and a number of other people have sent me screenshots and reached out with other, shitty things Brad has done.
He's a very egotistical.
I don't know how much we need to go over this really. The basic point is these two were friends. Brad gave her a shout out. His fans, who he seems pretty petrified of, gave him shit for it. He's already just had shit for taking a picture with Jewish people, which is not allowed anymore. And then he about faces and stabs her in the back, saying that he didn't know about a whole bunch of the stuff that his fans are complaining that she said. And then, it turns out that actually probably he knew most of it, if not all of it. And that once again, he's just copying to his audience. So that's the main point of this, really. Yeah, so he stabs her in the back. She gets a whole bunch of shit from people. She gets treated because she said a lot of, in fairness, pretty dumb shit, that she's this evil person. Everywhere she goes, she has to be held down and, whatever else. She spoke to someone called Chud Logic. I'm going to see if I can find the actual conversation, because he seems to be one of the few people covering this with actually some empathy towards her. Because to me, she seems very mentally ill. She seems like someone who, she seems very desperate to get famous. She seems very mentally ill, in my opinion. But people will just kind of treat her as this, awful person based on saying dumb shit on the internet. Which I agree is not good, but just people go crazy over this shit, man. But where's the conversation he had with her? I'll show this one, actually. So this was...
How can I possibly solve...
Please stop talking. This was the first interview he did with her, and hopefully it'll become apparent what I'm talking about when I say, mentally ill,
crazy person to do it with. It's still crazy, though, that he'd defend and make videos with her, but he'll apologise for taking a picture with a Jewish couple just because they think Israel has a right to... Yeah, of course.
And again, yeah, she has said some crazy shit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend that this kind of shit is cool. I just don't know that someone needs to be cancelled forever. I don't know that it's cool for someone kind of mentally ill, someone kind of not on the same page as most people, just being cancelled forever. At what point do we just kind of let bygones be bygones, because we either have to completely cancel someone and go after someone every time we see them, or we need to decide eventually that just we need to stop caring at a certain point. I don't know. Where is she?
See this? I knew that you were gonna fucking do this.
It's a simple question.
Because that's all you do. That's literally, oh my God. See, that's the thing though, is that I've actually matured. You just do the same shit. You keep doing this.
Okay, Rose, when you say something like this, is it not fair to ask, do you think that?
Oh my God, of course not. Of course. What the fuck? Duh.
Well, you say of course not, but we don't know you. I don't fucking know you.
Yes, I understand. Okay, look, I've today's been a crazy day. I did not expect this to be fucking drama.
Relax, okay?
To me, it feels like anytime I ever do something positive, I constantly have to respond to that. And it gets annoying at some point, and I have no problem talking about this, but I really do want to get to a point where I can just move on. That's not to say I'm dismissing all that shit. because I think it's a fair conversation, and I get why people would be mad at me about it. If people want me to make a video, that's fine. I'll do it. I mean, I made a video, but I don't want you guys to watch it on stream because it's personal and shit. But then they'll ask me to do another video in like 2 years from now because not everyone's going to see that video. I have no.
Yeah, the gist is basically she wants to keep her YouTube career coming. Most people are kind of advising, you know, actually talk about the shit that you've said, actually make an apology, which it kind of seems to be maybe sinking in a little bit, who knows. But I mean, the outcome is like, she said some really stupid shit, but ultimately being like treated that way by your friend isn't cool regardless. But I think some people will kind of go to the ends of the earth to not recognize that, I guess, which is kind of where the next bit comes in. So this is someone I actually quite like called Goddammit Malcolm. I think his content is good. I think the way he handled this conversation was horrible because of all the history that these two apparently have. So I'll just try and find something.
Truth. And they're not willing to see what is clearly right in front of them.
They can't accept that, like, half of the shit, you can't even tell if you're joking or not because you say the most insane shit 24/7, 365, and when people try to defend you, you just kind of let them take themselves down with your sinking ship. I love that. That's what friendship is.
Yeah, so he's blaming her for what Brad did. Like, he's kind of saying that, oh, he stuck his neck out for you and you didn't even, like, talk about any of the things you said, which, I don't know, he seemed fairly accepting of the things she said in, like, the DMs and stuff like that, you know?
Fuck.
You know, first of all, you don't even, like, know Brad. I'm sure you know nothing about this guy. So you don't know the situation as well as you think you do.
I don't think I know anything
That's true, what she's saying.
about the situation. I'm telling you how it comes across to anybody who has eyes, is that this dude went to bat for you super fucking hard, and instead of being a human being and being like, no, actually, you know what, I did say some incredibly fucked up shit, allow me to defend my friend who's literally throwing himself on top of a grenade for me. You were like,
yeah, this is an insane take. I'll go a bit further in.
Okay, isn't this the dude, this guy right here, the Nate is lame? Didn't this dude literally just do a hit piece on you? What is that about?
That hit piece was from like 5-6 years ago. It was a long time ago. That video, I had drawn with him in 2018 and 2019. So, I mean, it's like I said, the concept of time does not matter to people because they see my tweets for the first time and that's their first exposure to them. So the fact that a lot of time has passed since then does not register to their brains.
Okay, this one right here. What is this one right here? Talking about the Great Replacement. White people are...
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like whatever she does now, it's like this is just the perpetual cycle. People find the old tweets, people don't like her anymore. Like, it's not that I don't understand it, because you shouldn't say stupid shit. You shouldn't say, like, racist shit on the internet if you don't want people to dislike you. For definite. But at the same time, you know, can you really expect a person to live that way? Like, I don't know. There's a bit of a lack of empathy, I think.
Are be like, we gotta help minorities. At 8% of the world in 2021, whites are on the verge of extinction. Do you still believe this? Is this you defending this right here?
Sometimes what I do is I just post, like, thoughts because I want other people to, like, respond and see what they think. It doesn't mean that I like, believe that, but I'm just, like, kind of throwing things out there. I don't know how recent that is. I'm sure you can see that. But, I don't know. It's just me contemplating and thinking about stuff. It's not like I believe or fully believe. I think people give me more information. I'm like, okay, I can disregard this. Thank you. Like, it's not that deep.
Okay, do you still agree with this take right here? Consent is stupid, rape is natural and necessary for a happy and healthy society.
Oh my god, of course I don't. Oh my god, duh, yeah.
This is, you can't, like, just act all, like, fucking exasperated, like, oh my god, duh. When I asked you if you think that those fucking anti-rape devices are, like, evil, and you were literally said, yeah, I do.
Yeah, it very much feels like we're, like, debate broing someone who's not all there. I don't know how fair this seems. It's not that I don't agree with what Malcolm is saying here, but I don't see the use in this approach. I think just berating someone over and over because they said loads of stupid shit back in the day, like, you're not gonna get anywhere doing that. I didn't really get to show, because Rose and Chud Logic had another conversation, and Chud Logic, I don't know how old Malcolm is, and I could definitely see, you know, someone in their 20s, I definitely like excuse going in a bit hot and not really seeing the bigger picture. But like someone like Chud Logic, who is a bit older, like seems a lot more empathetic and a lot more willing to kind of level with her instead of just berating her the whole time. Like, oh, it's because you did all this stupid shit. You haven't, you know, I don't know. It's, again, I like this content creator. I think he makes good stuff in general. He's intelligent and he has good takes, but I think he missed pretty hardcore on this. Anyway, Rose Malay, what else is there to say about her, really? Yeah, I mean, yeah, the problem with people that are this mentally ill is that they need a lot more, like, they need a lot more support, and they need to be kind of approached in a certain way. And when we've got all these, like, younger people seeing shit that she said and getting outraged and just going straight to kind of jumping down their throat, and that's just how they're going to live their lives for the rest of their life, because they've said that shit now. They can't take it back, really. The internet doesn't forget. You just wonder, like, it must perpetuate their mental health problems. And, you know, being lonely, not really being able to form a community or anything, that definitely like exacerbates like mental health issues. So I wish people would handle these kind of people with a bit of maturity and a bit of understanding that, you know, people do crazy shit. Some people are crazy and do crazy shit because they're crazy. We still have to remember that they're people. And I think constantly just canceling the fuck out of someone forevermore because they made this tweet and that tweet, and some of the stuff just seemed like stupid jokes to me as well. It's like, I think people need to be a bit more understanding, or maybe just kind of leave it alone. which is the advice I'd have given like that Malcolm guy, I guess. But yeah, like the Chud Logic coverage of this was a lot more sympathetic. It's very clear that her friend wasn't actually much of a friend at all, and I haven't seen much attempt to like empathize with her, except from like the commentary community, ironically. So yeah, I don't know. I actually feel bad for her, honestly. I think if she's trying to make a genuine go at it and make some actual content, you know, she's made some strange music and stuff in the past. I get it. Like, I don't think just canceling her everywhere she goes and making sure that no bigger creators can like shout her out, and like trying to control creators that do, like Brad's audience, who, you know, those kind of people are the last kind of people you want to be like kowtowing to, because they feel entitled to your opinions. And if you let people be entitled to your opinions, then you're just being controlled by them. And it seems bizarre to be like afraid of your audience and to be afraid of saying, there's certain things that I find unacceptable, and if you're doing those kind of things in my community, then I'd rather you get the fuck out. And I can understand the impulse for that, but you really have to be able to control your own audience. And unfortunately, Brad didn't do so.
Person. I get the impression from him that he just thinks he's better than everyone else. And I can definitely see it through his actions and through his tweets. And I remember this because
I'm just going to see if there's like a conclusion here, because I want to get onto the Destiny stuff.
And we were like still on Discord and talking at the time. It just came out of nowhere. And I was just kind of like confused. I mean, maybe he just thought, oh, everyone's shitting on this album. It would look cool if I don't know what was going on. You know, people have talked to you about this kind of stuff and like messaged you privately about this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I mean, he also has a history of saying really controversial things. And it's just like, obviously in the past, like it's not debatable. I think even Bradley admits that like in 2018, around the time that this kind of stuff happened, that he made the
What else I will say is, like, what she's doing here is pretty much what everyone's doing to her. And I think Brad kind of deserves it, honestly, because he just kind of threw her away once he realized he wasn't winning this fight with his audience. And once he realized that he couldn't stand up for this person that his audience has decided has a target on her back. So yeah, like, to me, Brad is completely in the wrong in this. I don't know why people are defending him. I have absolutely no idea why someone would say, well, it seems like he stuck his neck out for you, and you wouldn't even, like, say, oh yeah, I said bad things. Like, that is that really a kind of human response? I think if someone hated, like, has someone shouting them out, they'd probably just kind of try and enjoy it and, like, just let it happen. I don't know. This is weird to me. I think these kind of dramas, they end up playing out between often plenty of people who are not really emotionally mature enough to actually handle these kind of subject matters, and not really emotionally mature enough to handle someone who, from what it seems like, actually has some like issues, you know, and who, you know, for all their faults, probably doesn't deserve to be like cancelled off the internet forevermore. I'll just see if there's a conclusion here, and then I'll wrap this thing up, because I think I've said all I can really about this. It's going to be a lot of chopping up. I kind of knew that going into this, so.
You're complaining that, I was dragging him through the mud. Time has proven that I was actually right about those things. It's weird how everyone's so silent considering me, and it's because I call you guys out on this stuff.
So overall, my problem with Brad is that he's very quick to call out other people for their mistakes, yet expects you to forgive him for his past mistakes, a lot of which he has not talked about. The reason why Brad was sympathizing with me is because
she's kind of putting him in the same position that she's in, and I think that's kind of fair enough. There's people being like, people have like hated on her to fuck for this as well. Like, so many of the comments are pretty negative. Wait, so you just want people to ignore all the horrible things you said in the past, but also blaming Brad for things he said 6 years ago and already apologized for. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's tiring. You are not one to try and talk about people's past. The problem is people have been like litigating her past. And he's gone along with it. He's thrown his friend away in favor of the people doing that. Like, why wouldn't you feel the need to do that to someone else? Because it seems hypocritical. And the worst thing is, he stuck up for her initially and then changed his mind over something that apparently was a lie. I think you can dislike someone for having said like crazy shit, but at least understand the situation for what it is.
We're very similar, and he even admitted my mistakes reminded him a lot of his mistakes, and I've just showed you a sample of what those were. I just felt like I needed to say this. My issue is that he is a hypocrite. What he believes privately is often very different from what he believes publicly, and he's even said in the past, the only real difference between me and him is that I say what I believe openly, whereas he is much more careful about his public image and often doesn't reveal his true beliefs. Because the thing that matters most to him is his YouTube audience and not doing anything that might risk that. He has no issue throwing away friendships if it means securing the channel. In case you're wondering why Brad has been getting into a lot of controversy recently and acting weird, he's kind of always been like this. It's just only becoming more apparent to most of you now. But as someone who's known him for a while, this is just what he's like. Obviously, I'm not a perfect person, and
yeah, from what I've seen, like I have seen some of Brad's content, and I quite like it, honestly. He talks about like music and stuff. He's quite a likable person. There's people that kind of shit on him for being quite outwardly emotional. I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, he's not the only person I've watched that's like that, But yeah, it seems very cowardly. It seems like he's scared of his audience, and you can't really run it that way.
I can understand that I'm probably not the right messenger for this sort of thing. However, since nobody else is talking about this or bringing this up, I felt that it's fair for me to bring this to your attention. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in August.
So yeah, Rose Malay. You can see what's going on with this whole thing and still understand that she said stuff that's like wrong, And I think to let it color your perspective that much because you were offended by something she said however many years ago, to where you can't see the forest for the trees and you'll sweep for Brad when he clearly doesn't deserve it and it's clearly undue. That doesn't seem right to me, and it's, I don't usually kind of give much weight to these kind of so-called harassment campaigns or whatever, but she's got pretty like battered over this for something that's not really her fault. It was him that shouted her out in the first place and then him that rescinded it over something that, based on that video, seems like it was a lie. So I don't know why people wouldn't be a bit more empathetic and understanding to Rose's position.